lobby. Let's all go to the lobby, lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to Now Slain, an It Slays podcast production where we review the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Hey, it's Jill.
And we are here to talk about the new entry into the Fear Street, I guess, is it Saga, I guess? I don't know. The Saga was the 3, but I feel, Saga... Star Wars is a saga.
Yeah.
There's many of those movies. They didn't all come out at the same time. So, maybe Fear Street Saga. But yes, a new Fear Street entry. Prom Queen, which was released on Netflix on May 23rd. But before we talk about any of that, I'm curious, Jill, what's your relationship with not just Fear Street, like the shows? I think on the main show you've talked about, you've watched all 3 of the previous entries into this.
The trilogy.
Like, did you enjoy those? Do you have any relationship with, like, the books? Let us know.
Yeah, both. So for the movies, I've seen all 3. I've seen the first one more than the other 2. But in general, I really like the Fear Street movies. I feel like they are a blast to the past, kind of like a guilty pleasure, I guess, because they're kind of a joke for anyone I talk to about them, about the excessive, like, needle drops, I guess. Like sometimes it's a little excessive. a little. But other than that, I don't know. The first one especially, I don't know, it just had such like a nostalgic 80s or 90s vibe, whatever it was. And I really liked it. I thought the characters were good. I liked the plot. The gore was really good. Like the bread slicer kill is iconic.
I use that to like hype this up with the people I watched it with. I'm like, there's this kill in the first one with like a bread slicer, and
oh my god, it's one of my favorites. Even though the first one has like the most bland lesbian relationship I've ever seen, it still has gay people in it. And for the books, I was really young when I was reading these because my aunt is only 6 years older than me, and so I spent a lot of like sleepovers with her, and the headboard of her bed had a bunch of R.L. Stine books, like Goosebumps and all the Fear Street books. And I remember I would read them all the time, and then I would like have trouble falling asleep because I would be like scared shitless. But I love them, and I think I remember reading a Prom Queen one. I don't quite remember all the details. It was so long ago, so I don't know if it was like similar to the book or not. But yeah, what about you? What's your relationship with them?
Yeah, so I mean, I am not only an avid movie collector, but also an avid book collector, mostly horror books, obviously. So I do have a large, I'd say I'm not that far off to finishing it, but that's a lie. There's so many of them. But I probably have like at least like 60 or 70 of these like R.L. Stine, Fear Street. There's been many iterations of it. Mm-hmm. Books. I own The Prom Queen. Just like Clown in a Cornfield, Rowan Foley was like, yeah, I'll read this. This will take me 2 hours and I'll read it for the podcast. Never did. But I do plan on going back. I'm going to read it. I do own this one, and just kind of seeing what it's like compared to the movie. And as for the actual Netflix kind of, I guess it's almost like a series now, essentially. It's just a series of movies. I remember me and Exilia, we watched all 3 of them. I feel as it went on, my attention span kind of waned for them. I know a lot of people really loved the last one that was like, kind of the actual witches and all this stuff. And I just remember, I think at that point, I just didn't really care. So I remember not being like real high on it. I think I enjoyed the first one the best. Obviously, like you said, like that iconic kill, the needle drops where, the 90s is kind of my jam. I remember complaining a lot about like needle drops that weren't appropriate because it was like songs that were out after this movie was set. And then I remember liking the other one, somewhat like the 70s slasher kind of feel. But I mean, you know, I always knew what these were, right? Like, I think even though these are rated R, like Netflix has them rated R, like, they know their audience. This is aimed at like a young adult audience. And even with the gore and stuff, I felt like the other entries too, right, are just kind of like, you know, they're kind of like adult Goosebump shows. Like, so they still kind of have that feel. They do keep that feel of young adult. So, yeah, that's my experience with it. So with that, let's get into the trailer. And then we'll be back to see if this is going to get crowned the prom queen of all of these movies.
This is the night we've all been waiting for. Senior prom. Welcome, class of '88.
You want to be prom queen.
I just don't want you to embarrass yourself.
This is shady side. Nice girls don't win.
How do we get out of here?
Fear Street Prom Queen was released on Netflix on May 23rd. It was directed by Matt Palmer and written by Matt Palmer, Donald McLeary, and obviously the original writer of the story, R.L. Stine. And the synopsis is as follows. Who will be voted queen at Shady Side High's 1988 prom? For underdog glory, competition is cutthroat, even before someone starts killing off the candidates. So here on Now Slaying, we like to start with our spoiler-free section. So Jill, what are your initial spoiler-free thoughts?
Okay. First of all, I need you to respect how strong I was this weekend because I watched this twice. I had to rewatch it a second time because I was so uninterested in it the first time I watched it, and I was so mad, like I couldn't stop making like shitty little comments when I was watching it. And the restraint that I had not to text you, Rowan, and be like, what is this dog shit? Like, and not let you know how I felt about this movie until we recorded. So
You're
first of all,
giving it away all up front.
Listen, I've waited this long, but God, this is the worst Fear Street movie I've ever seen. And it makes me so sad because they already kind of get shit on a lot by people because, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Like, if you grew up with the books or if you're just familiar with R.L. Stine, like, you know what to expect. You're just looking for a fun, kind of nostalgic, like, slasher. And that was definitely the case for the previous trilogy that we're just talking about. But I don't know. I guess I also had high expectations because I feel like prom queen is such an iconic like trope in young adult horror like this. You know, it's kind of like the ultimate trope. Like, you think of like prom queen or prom night and Carrie and all the stuff like that. Like, we've seen this trope a million times, but every time we've seen it, I feel like it's done well or like decently, competently. But this was kind of missing and just not hitting all those notes. Like, it didn't have memorable characters. If you're gonna have like a mean girl kind of prom queen story going on, you need really like vicious characters to be the mean girl. The mean girl is not vicious. She's not, I don't know, she's just not it. Like, she's not charismatic. She's not funny. None of the jokes land. I don't know. It was boring. I feel like I'm being mean, but I'm not. Like, it's actually really bad. It's the acting is super cringy. The story didn't make sense a lot of the time. They keep talking about, I forget her first name, Granger.
Lori.
Main character, Lori Granger, about who her mom was or like what happened to her family. And then like they're trying to remake Shady Side, but they don't like give you enough like background information for it to make much sense. Or maybe I just like wasn't paying attention to it. But I feel like in the the first like trilogy, they did a good job of like showing segments of other stories that were connected, and it was like it made sense. It was logical. So yeah, I thought the characters fell flat, the story wasn't great, the acting wasn't great. And also, I feel like they did Shady Side a disservice because, like, one of the main things about the first movie is kind of the dichotomy between Shady Side and Sunny Side. And they really just painted the setting of Shady Side as being this, like, kind of dismal town. And it's not here in this movie at all. What did you think, though?
Yeah, I mean, but my overall kind of spoiler-free thoughts on this is I thought it just kind of missed the mark in general and what I thought it was going to do. Even though, like I said, the last 3 of the Fear Street entries, I may not have, like, loved. Like, I could still see benefits in them, things I liked in them. Like, you know, they were very competent. The stories, like, it made sense, and especially when you're dealing with something that large with 3 films, like, I thought overall it was, like, pretty good, especially for something I would, you know, I'm getting on Netflix, like, directly through Netflix. I'm not expecting that much in general. Where this, it was just, like, to me, it was a very, like, shocking difference in just, like, the quality of it. Like, you know, I brought up there before, I was talking about these having this feel of, like, you know, a little older, you know, Goosebumps or something. Like, I thought this, which sounds weird because, yeah, there is gore in it. There's, like, some pretty gnarly kills, I think, to, like, the normal viewer that might watch this that isn't really, like, watching horror all the time. But I thought even with all the blood and all that and the gore, like, I just felt like these were, like, it was really tamed down. I get the R rating is for the gore, but I was just like, man, this has got to be like a light R. Like, this isn't really, I felt all the rest of the story. I was like, this is what I would expect from a show aimed at, like, preteens and things like that. Now I know, I see Letterboxd blowing up of people that are kind of saying this is what happens when we let men direct our Fear Street movies, and maybe that's the case. Obviously, those first ones, I think I don't know if maybe it's setting up for automatic failure, but especially where the first ones obviously was like a 3-movie lesbian tale that you saw online, like those movies got adopted really quick as, like, you know, in the queer community, like, this is our series. So I thought it was, like, kind of interesting that they just kind of veered away from that, because I was like, oh, well, you already have this kind of, like, community support built in for these, where they're like, sweet, give us these, like, kind of teen-friendly, like, queer stories and horror. And then it was like, no, we're just gonna give you, like, this, like, very straight, well, I mean, I thought there was lots of things that weren't that straight in it, but unintentionally. But, you know, just, like, this straight slasher story from the 80s, which is fine, but you have to have some flair to it. Like, I thought, like, this looked bad, especially, like, we're on what? We're, like, I feel like we're almost on year 10 of, you know, Netflix being the prime offender of just, like, feeding us shows that are 80s nostalgia shows, you know, Stranger Things, that kind of thing, that, like, are just purely, you know, I think about someone like Colton, who, like, Colton doesn't like Stranger Things, but understand, you know, he's talked about, like, it's just feeding into this 80s aesthetic, so people are just like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, this doesn't even have that. Like, this doesn't feel like the 80s, other than the music, which were heavy in the needle drops in this one. And they weren't bad. I thought the music was pretty good. I kind of liked it better. I was really thinking about you and me talking about Totally Killer, and also an 80s slasher. But, you know, one thing we praised about that was that it was great 80s songs, but it wasn't, like, obvious, I'm making an 80s movie, I need to put this song in it. And so it was, like, songs you recognize, but you might have to, like, Shazam or something, and you're like, I've heard this tons of times, but I don't really know it. And they kind of went into like deep cut stuff, where this is very, you know, like we got the Rickroll music going on, and
Oh, it's horrible, dude.
yeah, it's just like we're just playing like very basic. I'm making an 80s movie, so I'm just gonna play like, you know, this common denominator music. That sounded so pretentious, but I mean, it is what it is. And
No, you're right, though.
yeah, it's just like I was kind of expecting like a little bit more. And yeah, like I was just very curious at who this was for. I could see this maybe working for like someone like my daughter's age, like 10, 11, and you're like just getting into this stuff, and like this is pretty gory. I don't know how many parents would be thrilled their kids watching this, but when I was watching, I just kept going through the age ranges of like 12, 13, and I'm like, it's pretty quickly that I'm like, I feel like you'd age out of being interested in this. Like, it's just not. I feel like there's better, scarier slashers, horror. Like, to me, it's like if I'm that age, I'm probably just picking up a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. Like, you know, and this is a overall Netflix quality thing, I think, with many people. It's just like, what is the real staying power of this? Like, this doesn't scream to me like, oh, I'm gonna want to go back and watch this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, if you're gonna watch a prom queen movie, just watch Carrie at this point. Like, just watch a classic. It's way more edgy. You have sex and like that sort of thing going on, which I feel like is an important aspect of prom. You know, like kids, you know, teenagers doing things they shouldn't be doing. There's like none of that, I feel. And it was just so tame. And there's so much emphasis on like caring about who won prom queen when the characters are so bland. No one cares who wins. I don't know. It just seemed kind of like outsized as an issue.
Yeah, well, and it was, you know, you brought up, and I think it's interesting to bring up Straza, who plays Tiffany Faulkner, who's like our mean girl. Like, I just thought was a really weirdly written character, because like, yeah, she was pretty mean, but you know, like the movies you brought up, like Mean Girls, you know, Clueless, stuff like that, like things that have these like iconic mean girls, like they still have to have like charisma, and like there has to be like something about them, where this way was just like she's mean and that was it. And they're like, I don't blame it on the actress, like I think it's just bad writing. It's just like very simplistic, like you're mean, that's your only facet of,
you said it,
a personality.
This is what happens when you have men, like, no offense, writing a prom queen movie. Like, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a big Diablo Cody fan, but this was a job for Diablo Cody to come in and write a cunty mean girl character and, you know, make these teenagers somewhat relatable, somewhat quirky, because they were quirky in a way, like all the characters, like the principal, who was always saying like wacky, like off the wall shit, but it wasn't funny. It was just kind of painful to watch. So like, if you're gonna be quirky, it gotta be funny. And I don't know, it was just weird. Like, it was weird.
Yeah, well, and I thought it was kind of odd because like India Fowler, who plays Lori Granger, like I kind of liked her. I was like, oh, like she really looks the part. I think she kind of has this kind of meekness to her. But it's like one of those things where like I think she's a good actress. I think the writing was just so poor that this whole, you know, like her kind of being the underdog of the story. Yeah, I guess that's the way I'll put it. So I'm not like spoiling anything, but like I just thought it was a poor job of portraying that, and they didn't really give her much to do. It's kind of a shame because I mean, like, I thought Suzanne Sun, who plays like Megan Rogers, who's like her best friend, which I mean, in any horror movie you gotta have the person that's like obsessed with horror movies. She was probably like the highlight, I thought, of this whole movie. I thought she was super funny. This is the kind of character I like in a teen slasher, of like she's weird. Every shot of her, we see her reading like Fangoria, and she's like working on, making horror prosthetics and posters. I will say the posters in this just beautiful. Lots of
Zombie.
Yeah, Zombie. Nicholas will love it. Lots of the theaters playing Phantasm 2. There's lots of Phantasm 2 reference into this. But like I thought she was fantastic, and it's like these wasted performances. I thought Ariana Greenblatt also was really good in this, that played Christy, obviously probably the most well-known recently. She was like one of the stars of that terrible Badlands video game movie. But I mean, she's probably the most successful younger person in this. And like her character, I thought was awesome. I was like, this is awesome. This is the kind of character you want in teen movies, like this girl that's dating the older guy that's badass, that's dealing drugs. And like, I thought she was awesome. But yeah, it was just like, it was a disappointment with it. Obviously, we wouldn't be our age. We wouldn't be our generation if we didn't mention like Tiffany's dad, played by played by Chris Klein, who like probably nobody's seen since American Pie.
Yeah,
aged pretty good. Looks pretty much the same.
Yeah,
but I found it Did you find it really distracting? Like I found it hard. Anything he said, I was imagining him saying it as his character in American Pie.
Yeah, I was also distracted by that, and kind of like the off the wall like script as well. It was just like really weird. It was weird.
Yeah, and then of course I loved the vice principal, played by Lily Taylor, who is just icon in my heart. Part of one of the stars of probably like the top 3 HBO shows of all time, 6 Feet Under. And then I would say probably more younger people. 6 Feet Under is kind of a throwback. That's like an older HBO show, but younger people would probably most recognize her as the mom from The Conjuring.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I mean, like, she's like an amazing actress, and unfortunately just like kind of wasted, I think, in this, doing nothing. I'm sure they're thinking like, hey, it's the woman from The Conjuring. Like here's like a nod to horror.
Is that Tiffany's mom?
No, that was the vice principal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't recognize Tiffany's mom. That doesn't mean she's not important or anything.
I gotta say, as soon as I saw her character, I was like, they're trying to go for the mom in Lisa Frankenstein 100%.
Yeah, kind of the mom that everybody hates.
Like the neurotic, kind of, like uptight mom.
Yeah, Catherine Watterson is her name.
Okay.
It seems, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. Apparently she's like one of the main leads in Alien Covenant, but I'm looking here, like she's in a lot of stuff. So maybe I'm just not as familiar with her, but like, I mean, she's in like Babylon and those Fantastic Beasts movies, and so obviously she's someone that's just not bringing up. And yeah, I thought she was kind of a character of like you said, Lisa Frankenstein, of these like moms in these teen movies, but just not like well written.
Yeah, again, it wasn't really her fault. It was just weirdly put together.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll read the book and I'll be like, oh, this is exactly the book, and they did an amazing job. If you love this book, it's your responsibility, I think, as a like adapter and director and stuff, to like, if you need to elevate the material a bit, like then elevate it a bit.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I don't think there's a lot else other than talking about maybe some of the kills and the spoiler stuff. So why don't we say if we recommend it for people to see? I'm going to start. I'll switch it up. Yeah, I'm going to say no, which is weird because normally I'm just like, oh, don't pay money to go to the theater and see this. But you can just turn this on Netflix and watch it. But I still say probably skip it. I just don't think there's enough here, especially if you're listening to us and you're like a full-grown adult. I just don't think you're going to enjoy this, even with the gore, even with the needle drops. They just don't pack enough punch to even elevate this to be like, oh, tolerable. This is just like badly done. This is the example of stuff when people are so against like Netflix and what they're doing to movies and all this kind of stuff. Like, this is an example of things they do. Like, it just seems weirdly sanitized, even though, like I said, it's got gore and stuff. It's just like, seems so impersonal. Like, it seems like they ran this through like an AI generator for a script. I mean, and it's just funny because, I mean, obviously, I mean, maybe they did, I don't know, but we know by the credits that there's humans attached to the script, and it's
That's
just
worse,
interesting that Netflix continues to produce these things that just are like, oh, yeah, this seems not great. Would you recommend this for people to go see?
Yeah, absolutely not. Again, normally we're like, you know what? It's not that bad. If you want to go see it, go see it. But this is that bad. If you like the first 3 Fear Street movies, I don't know. I don't think you're going to like this one. And if you don't like the Fear Street movies, you're definitely not going to like it. It's weird because I was looking at my Letterboxd and it has a 1.8 star rating on Letterboxd last I checked. But and a lot of people on my friends list didn't like it and gave it like a star rating or something like that. But I had friends on there who gave it like 4 stars and stuff like that. And I don't understand.
Are you currently in the process of unfriending them on everything and
no,
making sure there's no contact?
People have different tastes. I just don't really see the appeal in this one.
I could see people just like being like, oh, like, you know, oh, okay, that's a good song, like good needle drop, like, and just like trying to be like rah rah, like, and that's one of the sad things about this, I find, is it's like, hey, you know, I'm always about, even if it's bad, like, keep churning out horror movies, like, just keep doing it. I mean, especially slashers, like, whatever, bad slashers are usually good, but sometimes bad slashers can just be bad.
This was just bland, and like you said, it's like it was created by AI, and I don't know. I like to cheer for horror and slashers, and I really want Fear Street to do well, just being kind of attached to the series growing up.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very unfortunate, especially a prom queen kind of segment. You could have done so much more fun stuff with it, even though like the prom queen trope is kind of formulaic. I don't know, it just needs some style. Like there was no style at all. There's no substance. It was just kind of disappointing. And normally you can find something to cling to, but even the needle drops in this, I don't know, they weren't doing it for me. It was very generic, and like once we got rickrolled, I was just like kind of pissed off. I was like, this is not even funny. Like, this is just adding insult to injury.
I was gonna say, we could talk about the music and the kills. Why don't we cut to the spoiler section so we can just stop dancing around everything?
Okay.
So yeah, let's cut on over to the spoiler section. So now we were in the spoiler section of our episode. If you haven't seen Fear Street Prom Queen yet and you want to, this is where you can pause, go watch it, or keep listening if you really don't care. So yeah, now I figure we can speak freely and we don't have to worry about spoiling anything and all that stuff. So, you know, you were saying, you were starting to talk about Rickrolling.
Listen, you already spoiled the Rickroll, so I did nothing wrong.
we already did that. Was that the main offense for you for the music? Like, that was the peak?
I think so, because it just wasn't funny. It was kind of random, but I don't know, every song was kind of like very over the top generic. I feel like nothing really hit well, honestly. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of funny because there's songs that I like that I'm like outside of this movie. Like if it comes on the radio or on my like, you know, Spotify or something, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a banger. And it's just like this one, you're like, oh, of course, we're in an 80s. So, you know, you obviously, you know, you talk about Never Gonna Give You Up, the Rickroll. But like, I was thinking too, like, you know, they play Cruel Summer, which is like a great song, but it's like, this is literally in anything that wants to be in the 80s. But like that, the I Think We're Alone Now, which I thought was kind of like an overusing horror. 80s song. And, you know, like I said, it's just these tropes of like regular, what are we playing? So like Hungry Like a Wolf, Sweet Dreams, all this stuff that like, these are just generic, I'm making an 80s. They're not even going into a deep cut or anything. I mean, they did play, you know, White Lines, Grandmaster Flash. That's still the most basic Grandmaster Flash song you could possibly play. I got really excited actually about the non-80s music, like that kind of is dispersed in this. It's kind of like the synth music, and I'm like,
oh, I like that.
This kind of bangs. I'm assuming it's by Power Glove, I think. I haven't listened to it, but I'm looking at the list of the songs and the music, and I'm seeing that the beginning and the end, it's got songs by Power Glove. So I don't know if I'll have to look into it more. I'm curious if that is like for this, or if Power Glove is like something I don't know, and it's like it's, you know, music from something else, which would kind of be sad, because I was like, if this is actual score, I was like, this is kind of like a highlight for me. Like I think the score is pretty good, so I got to look into that if this is made specifically for this or not. Yeah, like kills. Like, what did you think some of the kills? Like, did you have a highlight kill or?
God, I feel like Colton. I'm so glad he's not here though, because he would fucking hate this movie.
I'm kind of sad he's not, because it would be the first time we'd all agree on hating something, I think.
You think so? Yeah, none of the kills really did it for me either. They could have been cool, but I feel like they really restrained themselves, and it did look pretty fake. Like the decapitated head, there's like a chainsaw, the arm could have been a lot better. And also, since we're in the spoiler-free section, the kind of fake out with the arm
you mean
thing.
The spoiler section.
Spoiler section, sorry. What's her name? The friend?
Yeah, Megan?
Yeah.
Was that her name? Yeah.
Yeah, when she does like the fake cutting her arm off, I don't know. It had the potential to be kind of good. And it honestly did remind me a little bit of Ginger Snaps, especially in the way she was acting. Did you think that as well? You were just nodding.
I mean, I didn't related to Ginger Snaps, just because like you, I'm not always thinking about Ginger Snaps throughout my entire life. But I will say I did also like I actually did like the fake arm, the fake head. She was the only character that I was like actually really interested in and into this prosthetic stuff. But I mean, that's still not, you know, it didn't save it for me.
I was kind of annoyed with the fake out, because just the way, I think it was the acting, like when you realize it's a joke, just the way she like didn't make eye contact. I don't know. It was just something about the acting was just very amateurish, and I don't know what it is, but it just didn't do it for me. I did like her character, but I felt like she was very much underserviced. And I also thought they were trying to make her into kind of like a red herring as well, with like the prosthetic facial thing. Like you're supposed to think that maybe she's the one doing this. But yeah, that I don't know. Yeah,
I was going to say, to me, you know, it was kind of sad because I was super excited for like Ariana Greenblatt's death. Because like I said, I really like that character. And then we got her, you know, dealing the drugs to... Mm-hmm. Is it like Sunnyvale, or no? That's Trailer Park Boys, isn't it? I don't know.
Sunnyside.
Sunnyside. You know, I like that aspect, and I think that was something that was really missing from this, because the story really hinges, as most of these Fear Street ones do, on this like shady side is like the wrong side of the tracks, but there's always kids from Sunnyside, like that's the rich part, you know, like. And it's always this, you know, let's get real Marxist here. Like, you know, it's just this real, like,
it's a class
struggle. And it plays in interesting ways. And I thought they did a fairly good job in the original trilogy there to talk about, like, the differences and stuff like that. Where this, like... We have the funny scene of her, like, dealing the drugs and stuff, but they would always bring it up, and obviously, like, the whole mythology of prom night for Shady Side, where, you know, we have Lori's mom and, you know, there's this whole story of like Lori's mom's boyfriend, like being murdered and all this kind of stuff. And like, I just felt they didn't dig into this. They just kept like doing exposition dumps about it, but never really enough. Like, it was just very non-interesting. You don't get like a lot of detail, so I'm not invested in like this generational trauma they're trying to show that the Granger family has. And I'm just like, well, like, I don't care because you guys haven't made me care about it. So even in the end, where it's like the reveal of like, you know, Miss Faulkner being the, you know, the other culprit, and it's like, I'm the one that murdered your dad, and, you know, she stole him from me, that, you know, this girl from Shady Side, like, and I was just like, by that point, I'm like, well, I don't care because you guys didn't really set up that story very well.
Yeah.
And anyway, this is a long way to come back to Ariana Greenblatt's death, which I was super pumped for. I saw the thing. Was I scared of, you know, this mask and the red thing? No, but I'm like, you know, teen horror. I'm like, all right, they're just kind of trying to do a simple silhouette, something that they can kind of have as their own. And I'm like, sweet, he's got an axe. Let's get it. And then, yeah, it's just like the most disappointing kill of all time. And it cuts away from it. Like, she basically gets it in the neck with the axe. And then when he's going to swing again, like, we basically just cut away from stuff.
Yeah, it's very tame.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, maybe I'm beating a dead horse, but like the whole shady Sunnyside thing too. In the first one of the things I really liked was the football game.
Yeah.
Where with the mascots, like the witches and like the wolves or whatever it was supposed to be. I thought that was awesome. Like, they really did make it more of a rivalry and more of a classist sort of thing. Like, the poor people are over here, the rich people are over here, and they all hate each other sort of thing. But here, like you said, like, no one cares about anything because they don't make you care. And they did such a good job of that in the first movie, at least, you know, that just, this is just such a big disappointment.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, we're talking about that first death being tame. It's like, yeah, you know, we get to see someone get decapitated. But like you said, like, it looks really bad. It looks really fake. It somehow, as I keep saying, it's just weird. It looks so sanitized, even though you're getting something super gory. Now, the one I will say that kind of worked for me, just because I got a good chuckle, was I can't remember what prom queen candidate they kill, but it's the one where they're like in the science lab or something. They cut off the guy's both of his hands with the paper cutter, which I thought was pretty funny, but him trying to open the door with just stubs got a pretty good chuckle out of me. And I thought that was a really good kill. It's kind of sad that shortly after that they had to follow up with the girl getting electrocuted. That looked terrible. Like, that was the only time this movie actually looked like an 80s movie, because I was like, this looks like some 80s electricity in a Jason movie because the effects are so bad, which you could have done if you made this look like an 80s movie, but I didn't think it just looked too polished to be an 80s movie.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the other thing too, is like, even the characters, like, to me, they're so obviously like Gen Z, you know, actors and actresses. Whereas, like, we just reviewed Corn in a Clownfield. Jesus Christ. Clown in a cornfield.
It's back.
Fuck. And even then, we were kind of commending the actors being really good at kind of not only being powerful, but like also portraying kind of like an older type of like character. This doesn't create that nostalgia at all.
Yeah, no, I thought a lot of the like stylings of the kids and the parents and stuff really weren't on point necessarily. They didn't just scream 80s. And like you said, I should not be thinking about these kids being like Gen Zers or whatever. Like, I should be transported into the 80s. And yeah, there was a lot that I was like, oh, yeah, these are just like a bunch of newer, you know, actors and actresses, and I can really really tell it. Is this one, like, did you know pretty early? You were like, oh yeah, these guys are the killers, because obviously we have 2 killers.
Yeah, no, actually, like, I didn't really know who the killer was going to be. I feel like they were setting up a lot of red herrings. Like, kind of everyone was a red herring. But I also, like, didn't care enough to even bother thinking about who was going to be the killer. You know what I mean? Like, it. And also, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you ever seen Scream Queens, the show?
Yeah.
Isn't the killer in that show also in like a similar kind of latex suit?
Yeah, I think so sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it was really reminiscent of Scream Queens.
What a great show, Scream Queens. That
Which
was
is
so
like
good.
so much. That's how you do Mean Girls. You get Emma Roberts to come. Yeah, no, I didn't care. So even when the reveal was revealed, kind of like a Scream thing too, with like the 2 ghost faces, but I just didn't really care about the drama, the lore behind it all. It also didn't really make sense to me, like why her parents care so much about her winning prom queen that they're gonna go like kill people. Like, I don't know, things just weren't adding up. But what did you think of the reveal?
So I'm torn. I can't say it really worked for me. I will say about the ending, I was like, this feels very like Fear Street book, because it like usually the Fear Streets I have read, the ending, you probably guessed who it was at the beginning, like the villain was at the beginning. Like, they're not, they're aimed at a kind of preteen, early teen audience. So it's kind of, like the reveals aren't that shocking or anything. And I just felt, like Calvin Klein, we saw that character like in the prom, but they'd always have like weird angles on him, or he'd be like looking around weird, and then he would disappear. So I didn't, it felt kind of Scooby-Doo-ish to me, they get the mask off and it's like, oh, surprise, Yeah. If it wasn't for you meddling kids, my plan would have worked. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say I did like, because of course it did kind of get me with that, because I was like, wait a second, we saw there was 2 killers. I thought the mom was surprised, and I was like, okay, it's not her. So what's going on here? So that reveal did actually surprise me that it was the mom. And then I did actually like that. I like the part of the mom kind of going psycho. I thought she did a great job of going psycho.
Yes. And
I liked Tiffany also being psycho at the end, and it'd be, them like being a family of murderers. I was like, I do kind of like this. It's a shame. I thought Tiffany wasn't a very well set up character, but at the end, I did really enjoy that ending.
Yeah, I agree. I especially like the scene of the mom slowly going up the stairs with the knife kind of dragging along the railing.
Yes, that was fantastic.
Yeah, and also like the closet moment with Tiffany and Laurie.
Very Halloween.
Yep.
I thought, what a good reference. Have a Laurie in a closet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was like, very, very cool. But yeah, I thought that all was awesome. And that, to me, out of this whole movie, I was like, this feels 80s. This feels like an 80s slasher. Like, I was like, if this whole movie was like this and these performances, it would be really cool. Because I think one of the things that's really missing overall is that dreaded word of Colton's is it just wasn't camp enough. And this needed to be camp.
Yes.
Like, that's a signature 80s slasher thing. So if you're making something that you want to be emulating an 80s slasher, it needs to be campy. And they just missed the mark on that, or didn't understand the assignment, obviously.
Clearly, yeah. It's got to be cunty, it's got to be campy, it's got to be bloody, and it just missed all of those.
So, I mean, I don't have much else to really say about this, honestly. I don't think it's pretty short. Yeah. It's 90 minutes, so there, it's not a deep dive movie into it. Are you comfortable just going in the rating it?
Yep.
So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, what would you rate Fear Street Prom Queen?
Fear Street Prom Queen for me is gonna be a big old nay. It feels like surprise. It feels like something we would have reviewed on Stream Screams, like a shitty Tubi movie. Not a shitty Netflix movie. So I don't know. I don't see the need to pump out a Fear Street movie like this when it could be so much better. It really hurts my feelings. Do better. Okay. Get the women in there. Get them to make the Prom Queen movies. Make it campy. Make it gory. Make it sexy. Oh, we didn't even talk about the weird fucking like dance off or the weird dance number in the bathing suits.
I can't believe we forgot about that.
That was awkward, right?
Yeah, worst dance off in a movie. Worst, most unnecessary dance off in a movie ever.
Yeah. I'm taking extra points off for that. So it's like a super nay at this point.
Super nay.
Yep. Oof. It was just awful. Yeah, don't waste your time on this one. Rowan, how do you rate Fear Street Prom Queen?
Yeah, I'm also going to give it an A, obviously. I don't think we've really said much good things about it. I mean, I was happy when they dropped White Wedding, Billy Idol, because I'm always happy for some Billy Idol. But that was really the extent of it. And obviously, I said the Power Glove stuff I liked. And there was moments, like like I said, there was those little moments like the end. But they were more frustrating than anything because I was just like, this is the movie I wanted. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing worse than getting those glimpses of what you wanted, but then the rest of the movie you're not getting it. And I just think there was a lot of wasted performances because I did think a lot of the people in this were really good. And, I brought up like Lori Taylor playing like the principal and stuff, which was another like I thought was weird just because they had the vice principal. I said Lily Taylor, but like I don't even really know the principal reason for being there. Like it seemed like that role could have just been one, because they set up this dynamic of like, oh, we know the vice principal really runs the show, not the principal, but like it doesn't really matter. It has no impact on the story. It's just like an extra character essentially. Yeah, it's just this isn't great. Like you said, if you're gonna do these, I don't know. I think they need to re-examine it on how they do this, but you know how this is. We watched it. Everyone's gonna watch it. It's gonna do gangbusters for numbers for Netflix. And they're going to pump them out, which I'm kind of worried about. I'm kind of worried enough people are going to watch this that Netflix is like, you know what? Every year we need to like do one of these, which would be good if they were good. But unfortunately, this one isn't giving me the confidence I want to if they do want to continue to pump these out. So yeah, a nay from me and a nay from Jill. I didn't have that on my bingo card before this came out. I thought this was going to be a banger for us.
Yeah, same. I was excited.
Yeah, unfortunately. But if you're not doing so, you can follow us on social media. We're pretty much everywhere. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Letterboxd, Slasher, TikTok, Threads. I don't know. I'm missing something, I'm sure. But if there's a social media, we're probably on it at It Slays Podcast. And Jill, why don't you let people know how they can become a horror hound?
Yeah, if you want to be super cool, like our horror hounds, Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Mark, Sacrotype, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose the tier that works best for you. Perks include early access to episodes of our main show and access to our Patreon exclusive show Stream Screams, as well as the ability to choose a movie for us to review. Rowan, any Power Glove making it onto the playlist or White Wedding?
Well, White Wedding, yeah. I mean, why not? Power Glove, if that is the music that I'm thinking of and heard, I think that might have to go on. I did enjoy that. So you'll have to see, and if you want to see if I put it on, you can go to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to the Linktree link in any of the social media I mentioned. Click on there. It'll have a link to take you directly there. It's in the bio, and you can follow that. We upload scores and licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. So follow the playlist. We update it regularly. Get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And lastly, for next episode, I believe it's a big one. I believe Bring Her Back is the next one. So I am sure there's no way Colton, I don't think Colton would care if it was 3 months late, that he would not talk about that movie when it comes out. So I'm sure within the next week or so, you will get an episode of us talking about that, and he'll be back. But that is everything for now. Thank you for all the support. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Jill.
And if you keep listening, we'll keep slaying.